Hi, I'm Gaz. In today's video I thought I'd talk about some of the negative sides that I found about the Philippines. So stay tuned to the latest episode of the G-Log.
Meet radio and television personality Gaz Reynolds, the founder of World Domination Records and Great Drive Driving School. Like, comment and subscribe to be part of the journey. This is Gaz Reynolds, the G-Log.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the G-Log. Now, some time back I was in the Philippines, and I have done a number of videos about the Philippines and all the positive side of things and how it even benefited my career by going to the Philippines. Of course, I ended up with a lovely wife as well. However, there is a negative side to the Philippines as well, which I'm going to talk about now, because I think some people travelling to the Philippines need to realise that there are certain elements of things that they need to be aware of for their own personal safety. So firstly, I would say that overall I found the Philippines to be very safe. That's my own personal opinion, based on my own experience, and I was in the Philippines for a month. However, I was aware that, and I was based in Cebu city actually, most of the time. However, I was aware that when I went to Manila with my wife, it was extremely dangerous for foreigners, to the point where even the hotel where we were staying, some of the criminals were actually waiting for the tourists to come out of the hotel, and then they'd attack them then. So what we did is we soon realised it was actually a pretty dangerous place for foreigners. I think if you're Filipino, then you're probably fairly safe, unless you're a woman walking around at night on your own, then I'd say it's probably unsafe. But I think what we did anyway for safety reasons is we hired a taxi driver, and we made sure that all the prices were agreed up front, and that taxi driver also acted as a chaperone and a guide. Now, I'll be honest with you, this is one of the things that foreigners need to be aware of. I've travelled quite extensively around the world, and particularly around Asia, and Southeast Asia is no different from the attitude that I found in, say, India, where all foreigners are seen as being rich. So understandably, in a third world country, you can understand that the people that are providing services, if they see people they think have got a lot more money, then they're going to try and rip you off. So it's best in these circumstances to try and negotiate prices and agree them up front, and then don't pay over what you've agreed, unless you want to give a tip or whatever. That's completely different. But what you will find is, if you're a foreigner, straight away you'll find prices will go up in price. And what I actually found is, what you should do, for example, if you want a taxi, then you would ask, say, 3 or 4 or 5 taxi drivers what they would charge for a certain price, and then that gives you some idea of the price. Now, in my situation, obviously my wife was there, she's Filipino, so she was able to advise anyway and negotiate prices and stuff, so they didn't even really have to go through me, because if I tried to negotiate the price, it would certainly have been more expensive. Now, the main form of transport in the Philippines is the jeepney or a scooter. So obviously with a jeepney, people can't be ripped off because the price is the price. There's too many other witnesses around, so it's unlikely that you're going to get ripped off. So from that point of view, your prices are going to be fine. However, what you do need to be very careful of with the jeepneys, which is like a very small, it's like a tiny little bus really. For somebody with my size, 6'3", I was kind of really cramped in, so it's very difficult. And then you want more leg space and arm space. Well, with foreigners, you've got to be very careful putting your arms out of the jeepney, because there'll be gangs waiting to see arms and hands sort of dangling out of the jeepney, and they will literally cut your jewellery off or your watch off or whatever. Even when I had a driver who acted as a chaperone as well, we had to be very careful in certain areas that we was driving through, because if they saw that a foreigner was in the car, quite often they'd try and get in through the window and try and grab grab your stuff like your bag or whatever, so you've got to be very, very careful and very aware. Now, this is not to make you think that everybody's a criminal, because of course that's not the case. However, because it's a third world country and a lot of people are living on the streets or haven't got much money, they're very poor, then they may try and, you know, rob you. That's what you need to be aware of. Now, in my situation in Manila, there was one day was walking down the road, and you know, it was so hot that I just had like a vest on. But I rather stupidly, and you know, and I'm well travelled, so I should have really thought about this, but rather stupidly I had a lot of jewellery on me, and it was all gold. And even my wife didn't really take that into account at the time, because you know, these things, sometimes you're excited to be out on your holiday and you're travelling around and you don't really think about safety, because you just assume people wouldn't do these things. But the next thing is, we had a whole load of children coming up to us asking us for money. Now, the danger of that is, if you do actually give money, then suddenly you'll have a lot more children there asking for money as well, and then it can start getting dangerous. Now, we didn't give any money out because I was already aware of this this kind of, if you like, scam. And the next thing is, as we were going down the road, the kids were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There was larger ones waiting down the road for us, and then we got to the adults that were waiting for us. And this is where you have to be really careful, because what they try and do is bundle you down into an alleyway, and then they'll probably kill you or rob you. We managed to escape. We did have a whole load of people running after us, but very, very kindly, at this hair salon actually called us in straight away, and they actually locked the door and they called the police, and the police rounded up quite a lot of this gang. However, they didn't get them all, because there was probably, I think, about 50 or 60 of them in the gang, so it was pretty scary. Now, as I said, I've had the fortune of travelling around quite a lot because of, you know, my music career, plus, you know, like most you know, Europeans, they do tend to travel around. So but I thought I'd just share that story with you, and you know, if you're thinking about going to the Philippines, don't let it put you off, but obviously be very, very aware of the types of things that can occur, such as, you know, if you're in a jeepney and you've got your bag, keep your bag on you, don't leave it on the floor, because there are gangs that will sit in a jeepney, for example, and they'll make sure that they distract you while someone else is putting their hand in the bag. I could argue, and quite rightly so, those sort of schemes and scams go on in the UK and London as well. So I'm very aware of all these things, and I thought I'd just share some of my experiences. But you know, you have to be very, very careful when you're travelling abroad as a foreigner. Anyway, if you found this video useful today, I'd love to hear your comments if you've actually experienced anything like this in the Philippines. I'd really appreciate hearing from you. Today's positive shout out goes to Sarah Downing. So Sarah, you've had your positive shout out. If any of my viewers would like a positive shout out, please leave comments down below, or you can send me an email.
Hi mortals, I'm Jesus. You can now purchase Gaz Reynolds Presents The G-Log, Album Volume 1 from Apple Music, Spotify, and all major outlets around the world. Includes the massive hits Electronic Kama Sutra, I Only Hear You, and Dark Lady. This is one heavenly experience you won't forget. By the way, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the notification button so that you can watch every episode of the G-Log religiously.
Out now, Gaz Reynolds' new album, The Wedding Album, as featured on Big Review TV and Radio Harrow. Available at iTunes and all major outlets worldwide.